Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Show here on CJAD. I'm Chantal Desjardins. Across from me, Eleni Akrivos, president of Northeast Realties and chartered real estate broker. Hello, Eleni.
Hi, Chantal.
How are you?
I'm great.
Great. You came in like a bustle of energy.
Yep, the sun is out.
The sun is out and people are buying houses. It is a hot real estate market. That's the theme of today's show. If you have any questions for us, call us 514-790-0800. Text us 514-800. We are live on Facebook, so you can watch us as we do things that we forget we're on TV for. So we, scratch our heads or whatever. And you can, ask us all your real estate questions. So let's get it going with buying real estate in a hot market. Let's start with market update.
Yeah, well, we did a bit of a market update 2 weeks ago, and I think it's been a couple of shows we've done now, Terry as well, where we've been discussing the condo market. There's more condos selling. So what is it when we say it's a hot market, right?
Yeah.
And I think what's important to know is that it's going to affect you differently if you're a seller than if you're a buyer, right? And as well, it depends what area you're going to be in. So that's what we want to look at. What areas are hot, what areas are not as hot. And as a buyer, how can you navigate this market, right? Like, how are you going to get into the market? Should you wait or should you actually jump in, right?
Yeah, and recorded an increase of 11% in residential sales in October compared to a year ago. That's a big jump, right?
That's a big jump. I mean, that's the average of the Montreal census metropolitan area. Okay, so that's a stat that I'm sure some people have read in the Gazette and CBC, and people have we've seen it reported. So just to be clear, that 11% is an average,
right,
of Montreal and surrounding areas. So that includes North Shore, places like Laval, South Shore, the island of Montreal. It also includes Vaudreuil and Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, believe it or not. So 11% increase, that basically means there's 11% more sales as recorded by the Greater Montreal Real Estate Board, okay, in October, as if we compare it to 2017.
Right.
So there's more sales going on. There's just more things selling. But what does that mean again for
right? Does that mean that people are going to pay more for the houses? Because is it hot in terms of you're going to get more if you're selling your house?
Typically, yes. And we're going to look at, more specifically what areas. So for example, just to kind of break it down a little bit, okay, that 11% is just, again, across that whole area. Right. If we're looking at the island of Montreal, okay, it's an increase of 5% in sales, okay? If we're looking at, for example, Laval was one of the big areas. They went up about like 10% in sales. So Laval is pretty hot. Vaudreuil went up by 8%. So again, the 11% gives you an idea of, the average.
Right. But current market conditions, you've got some sort of different areas.
Yeah. I mean, basically it has affected the prices, right? Because what we've been looking at as well is the supply and the demand. And so you have less inventory on the market. And so that's what's actually driving up the prices. Driving up the sales, I mean, people are just, I think what I'm seeing is people are trying to get into the market before it gets even hotter. That's the reality. And we do have a higher demand all of a sudden because we've also talked about a little bit, we have a little bit of foreign investment.
Right.
And we also have immigration in Quebec. So we have a lot of people coming into Quebec that either have money and, they've saved up money and they're coming with it and they want to own property. They're not, in their culture, it's not, they don't want to rent.
Yeah, I was in Connecticut over the weekend and I had friends that live there, Americans, that said, hey, we heard Montreal is a hot, like the last big city in Canada to buy. How much time do we have, basically? And I was like, well, let me ask my friend Eleni when I get there on Sunday. Like, how much time do you think people have to come in before, the other foreign investors come in and buy it all up?
Actually, it's funny you mention Americans because they're one of the like if you look at who is buying in terms of, again, like immigrants or immigrant buyers so again, I don't like to confuse foreign investment with immigrant buyers. I think we talked about that 2 weeks ago in the show. So it's really people who are looking to come and stay here. So we have the Asian buyers, coming from China. We have some buyers coming from India, Middle East, okay, namely like Syria and other countries. We have buyers coming from France. Why? Because on parle en français au Québec.
Mini France here.
Exactly. They tend to come a lot to the plateau area and even open up businesses. So they're coming not to, just invest again and live somewhere else. They're coming to live here, to start a business. And Americans. So they're on the list. Americans are buying in Montreal.
And how long do you think they have before kind of the prices get jacked up like the other major cities in Canada?
Well, look, the prices, okay, so Quebec has been pretty steady. Okay, and we've been we're kind of we not that we fell behind, but we kind of were behind. Vancouver, Toronto, the other areas, kind of like late bloomers.
Right.
And then we've caught up now. And so now if now they're looking at us. So if you look at the stats in the rest of Canada, their sales are going down and kind of tapering off, and we're taking off now. So right now, Montreal it's really hot. It's the place to be. That being said, the prices have steadily gone up. So they haven't. The thing is, it's happened over the last year, and we haven't really seen this in Quebec or Montreal, right? So it did catch some people off guard. I would say around 2017 May June. So this is after the foreign tax credit got put into Toronto and Vancouver. Actually, it was Toronto, I think. Things just kind of spun around. And so just as an example, I have some people who bought condos with me last year. And last year we were in a buyer's market in the condos. There were too many condos, not enough buyers. So they got super deals on their condo. And so now they want to buy another one. But right now, just again, in almost less than a year, which is really unheard of in Montreal, Quebec. Again, we're kind of like slow and steady.
Right.
All of a sudden, we're, the condo market is turning into a seller's market. It's, so so you can't get that same deal. I'm talking the same building, same type of condo, just because of the demand that's gone up and the supply is just not there.
So would you say to hold off on buying a condo then and wait until it kind of goes full cycle, or is it just going to keep going?
Because if you ask me, right, I've been 16 years now in the business, I would say almost any time is good to buy real estate. I mean, almost, right? Because again, the interest rates we saw just went up recently. Another announcement's going to be coming up in December. The prices have gone up. And so we're going to look at condos, plexes, single homes, and specific areas that you may be looking at. Some areas have gone up a lot more than others. So, would I say maybe go into those high demand areas? Maybe not. Maybe I'd advise you to buy into the areas that are still up and coming, right? And still have an opportunity. Would I tell you to wait till next year? No, because I already see people who waited out from last year.
And they regret it.
And I actually see people who bought with me last year, and I speak to them and they're like, wow, I'm so happy I bought. They're telling me, they're like, I got such a great deal. I'm like, yeah, I know, I was there. Remember? We negotiated the deal. So I would not wait till next year, because you know what? Again, this last year has been the beginning of the increase of the prices, slight increase of interest rates. Why wait till next year?
That is the voice of Eleni Akrivos, president of Northeast Realties and chartered real estate broker. Call us 514-790-0800. Text us 514-800. More on buying real estate in a hot market, including examples of home pricing and, where you should look for to get the best deal in a hot market. But first, let's take a look at the roads. Here's Kiri Lager. We got a phone call. We got Monica.
I didn't even see him back there because of the tinted windows.
So
I can't see what I'm doing here. I'm going to make this bigger. So you literally just drove in. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I just got home.
That's a real professional right there. I can
That's
just drive in. I need like my beauty sleep. I have to prepare my drinking of water.
You gotta drink the tea with the lemon and the honey. Okay, so we'll go to Monica after this, and then so did we kind of cover the seller's market and go to number 2 and go to 3?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we just did kind of an intro.
And you did just kind of touch on like some of the areas that are selling more.
Yeah, I want to actually kind of get into some of the examples.
Great.
And I would like to get into like basically the bulk is number 5, which is like the meat of preparing in this type of market if you're a buyer, like multiple offers, really knowing your budget. The number 4. If you can get to that before the break, it would be, great. I think we'll get to it. And also, what is the seller's market? We didn't actually explain it, but I can explain it briefly. Because we talk about hot market, seller's market, and how it affects, what is it actually, right? And how has it contributed to the...
the calls are pouring in, Eleni.
Right. Anytime you say hot.
Holy moly, we got 3 on the go.
Well, then we're going to just answer these questions, hopefully part of the calls, because usually people have good calls. Oh, look, there's Terry. We hear him. Terry's commercial's playing right now. All right, guys, let me go check the Facebook page. Anybody have any questions? No, but we have 3 callers, so any questions? All right, let's see. I'm putting it out to the Facebook people if anybody has questions. What's this? Oh, it's this that's in there. Okay.
How about this? How can you be so certain? Prices are inflated. Market is correcting. Interest will go up. Prices will stagnate. Ask Gary V what he thinks about owning right now.
Oh, Gary V's. Okay. Okay, whatever. That's fine. Gary V, first of all, is from the States.
Yeah.
So he's talking about a completely different market.
Yeah.
Okay. And yes, eventually the prices will taper off. It's not going to go up forever, but we haven't seen increase in prices in Quebec, right?
And then someone just said prices will never be the same as Toronto or Vancouver.
No, I don't. I agree. I don't think it's going to go that high. So that's why Montreal is a great place for Americans and France and all these. Because you know what? Even though that's what I want to get. Even though they've gone up this year, it has taken some people out of the market, but it's still affordable compared
to these insane prices in
Toronto they've done. I have seen a whole study comparing wages in the rest of Canada, compared to Quebec, and how long does it take a first-time buyer to save enough for the down payment? There's a whole study on it, and I mean it's all a lot of variables.
And are the wages that much higher in Vancouver to make up for the?
Well, that's it. In Toronto, I think they get paid more, right?
Right.
And Vancouver, I don't know.
That much more if an
their salaries are higher, and we're highly taxed in Quebec, right? We have the highest.
We sure are.
So if you look at all of that, if you look at taxes,
we still come out on top. I mean, we're still coming out ahead in terms of.
I think our prices. I mean, I look at just the rents. Yeah. Just rental, we're still interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased too, but no. But I mean, I look at these stats and I read the reports, and it's still affordable.
Yeah.
Let's share this on.
Here we go.
Oh. Ça va vite?
I am liking the music. Thank you, Dave. Welcome back to the Real Estate Show. There's Eleni Akrivos, president of Northeast Realties and chartered real estate broker. I'm Chantal Desjardins. Got a few calls to get to. Let's go to Monica in Chateauguay, who has a question about mortgage rate rising.
Yes, hi, good morning.
Morning.
I would like to have an advice to what to do for us that we are in the middle of the mortgage and we have a variable rate. So it's going up and up and up, and you just said that the market is behind Toronto and Vancouver. Does it mean that we're going to reach a point that the houses are going to be so expensive that it's going to be difficult to buy them? What should we do, us like mortgage payers, with a variable rate, not to lose the house, to keep on the payments? What advice should we follow from you?
Yes, I hear what you're saying. So you have kind of 2 questions in there. So for the mortgage payments, I hear you're on variable now, and you're kind of trying to figure out, should you stay on variable or perhaps maybe lock in and go to a fixed rate? Is that what you're saying, Monica?
Well, I just started my mortgage about in May, and I already went up twice.
Yes.
So I'm in 5-year mortgage variable rate. So I'm panicking that it will go to 5 years when I am on the year number 3. 5% when I am on the year number 3.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm on variable as well, and we do get the letters from the bank saying, well, Bank of Canada raised their rate, so your rate will go up a little bit. Mind you, the fixed rate right now is a little bit higher. So this is a question more, geared for Terry, because he's obviously an expert in mortgages. It's going to be a little bit of a personal choice, but historically speaking, just from articles I've read, variable rate, you're still going to be lower than the fixed rate, correct? So
Yes.
if you would go into the bank now and take a fixed rate, it's going to be higher, right, than what you have now. And so the other thing is that the rates are going up, but incrementally, like in small increments, right? They're not jumping up very high. So of course it's going to increase your payment, right? And you want to make sure that you can still make the payment. It's still going to be lower than your fixed rate. So ideally you would speak to a professional, and go in and just look at the difference if you would lock it in. And because the thing is you can go in and change it to fixed as well as you can stay on variable. So I would suggest that you probably speak to, a mortgage advisor about that. But historically speaking, if you stay on variable, you'll still pay less on your payments for now. In terms of prices, I do not think personally that our prices in Montreal will hit, the highs of Toronto and Vancouver, and even multiple offers. We're going to talk about that a little later. It's not, it's still, again, if you look across Canada, you look at the prices, our prices are still very affordable. And that's why we see a lot of immigrant populations, Americans, people from France, Chinese buyers buying here, because you are still getting, a good property at very reasonable prices. Mm-hmm. However, that being said, I will say that it will take some buyers, Monica, out of the market, right? Because the banks now are more strict, right, with their qualifying, and because of the stress test, some people will not be able to buy. Some people will have to either save more of a down payment. Some people might have to get a co-signer to help them. So it will take some buyers out of the market. Definitely, we've already seen that.
But these buyers are only new buyers because they don't qualify.
No, I'm saying like all buyers. So for example, even like yourself, you're already a homeowner, right?
Yes. And
let's say, I don't know, maybe in a couple of years, you were thinking of maybe moving, either upgrading or downgrading your property to a different house. It's, you have to still qualify, right?
Oh, I get it.
Right. So that's the thing with the prices going up. Is it going to make sense for you? And I see that a lot in baby boomers, right? Older generation that they don't have a lot of options for certain senior housing in certain areas. So West Island, as an example of Montreal, and people are holding on to their homes because it's cheaper for them, less expensive for them to stay in their home than go and qualify and buy a condo or buy something else.
And start all over again.
Indeed it is.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Monica. And don't worry, we're getting a bunch of texts, but prices will never be the same as Toronto or Vancouver. We can pretty well say that with certainty, right?
Yeah.
I've gotten about 3 texts just now saying, tell me they're not going to.
And it's funny, that's why you're getting so many texts. And a lot of people have that when they see the news and they see multiple offers, prices are going up. Let's look at the percentage here. They're going up, again, depending on the property type. Plexes actually went up, by the way, about like 5 to 7% in some areas, because again, there's not a lot of plexes on the market and they're very high in demand. Homes in Montreal only went up about 3 to 4%, the prices. We're not talking like 20%.
Yeah, it's not a huge
jump. It's a small jump, again, due to the low supply.
Thanks, Monica. Now we go to Liz in Montreal, looking for a little advice on where to buy. Hello, Liz.
Hi. So I'm very fortunate. I have a house with no mortgage, and I'm looking to buy an investment property, a condo, but I'm a little nervous in buying in Griffintown because I feel that it's saturated, and this is strictly to buy and to rent out. So I was wondering if you could tell me what areas of Montreal or perhaps Laval are hot areas that are not yet, like you said, up and coming.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, well, first of all, Liz, it's great that you're looking at doing an investment since you're already, like you said, paid off your property. And actually, I'm currently working with a few clients that are in your same situation. And I'm actually meeting with them next week, and we're going to look at the options. And when I say options, so you already have an idea that, you might want to buy a condo. It might be in Griffintown, and it's only
not necessarily in Griffintown. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Exactly. You kind of have an idea of your, it's going to be a condo, right? So what I would do is I would sit down with you and say, okay, well, let's look at all the options. So for example, you mentioned Laval. Let's look at your budget, right? So depending on what your budget is and what are you going to, and your goal is. So is this investment a short-term goal? Is it a long-term goal to kind of keep the property and have it pay for itself? Or do you want to have, for example, capital, like actually return of money coming in every month, for example? Right?
I would say long term,
okay.
Something that I don't necessarily have to keep for perhaps 5-10 years and perhaps sell. I think if you buy condos on paper and then you wait maybe on plan, I should say, and then wait maybe 5 years, you will make a profit, I think.
Not necessarily. So that's a big misconception. Like the client I spoke to yesterday, I had a half an hour consultation with her on the phone, and that was her plan was, okay, let me buy on plan. So on plan means you're buying from the developer, right? And you are technically speaking supposed to be buying it at a, not undervalue, but at a very good price because you're buying it, without seeing it. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to make money in the next 5 years. And you might have other options other than condo. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be a condo. Again, depending on your budget, I would say maybe a small duplex or a triplex or a fourplex. I'll just shoot out an area at you. For example, Hochelaga Maisonneuve. Okay, Hochelaga Maisonneuve is not an area in high demand for people who want to live there, but as an investment, it's a very good area.
If you have more questions, Liz, for Eleni, you can give her a call. How can she reach you?
Yeah, you can call us at the office and we can have a consultation, talk more about it on the phone. It's 514-716-6188.
So, hopefully she can help you out with some of those questions. So we will have more on buying real estate in a hot market. I'm getting a few texts now asking you to define what exactly is a seller's market. So we'll re-explain that a little bit and kind of give you some advice on how to jump into this crazy market right here on The Real Estate Show after this.
The Real Estate Show.
Cool. Monica's question was really good. Like I could have done the whole
segment on that.
Yeah, because I'd have to look into.
Yeah.
Monica has to call me basically. Yeah, in her case because I literally got the same call yesterday. I was on the phone with somebody saying she wants to buy, the Children's Hospital, the new they're making condos, and people just think they're going to buy it from the developer and in 5 years make money.
Liz's call. Monica was the one with the house already.
Sorry, Liz. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people lose money. I've seen people call me and say, "Oh, I have to get rid of this condo," but they can't sell it until like all the condos are sold. So you buy on plan from the developer. There's no condo built yet. You just buy the paper.
And you do that because you would get a good deal? Like that's why people...
Technically speaking, you're buying like before they build. You're supposed to get like a good price.
But still, then you're paying now and you're not making any money off it.
And you're also paying taxes on the new condo. You're paying GST, QST. So the price is... So I don't know where people got this.
Yeah.
It's like a frenzy.
Wouldn't you want to get a place that's already built that you can start making money off now?
That's what I would do. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this is like a misconception people think. And I have yet to see somebody make money like this, buying on plan. Mm-hmm. I've only seen people call me and say, "Can you get rid of this condo for me?" Because you have to hold it. So you have to give your money. Your money's sitting there while they're building it. Your money's not making money. You're not making rent, but you've given your money. Yeah. So I'm not a fan of this at all.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this show is flying by. We're already halfway done.
And people are calling in and asking the questions that we want to talk about.
Yeah,
so good
calls.
Yeah. Do you have you have my number on the paper there, eh? Yeah. I mean, they can text too. And they can...
I thought maybe you wanted to give out your cell phone or something. So this is the office number, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's our office number. Mary answers there. They can book like a consultation.
Okay.
Because some of these questions, I mean, we need at least half an hour or more to discuss. Yeah, it's not as... that would be funny if we did a whole consultation on air one time. So somebody calls in and we look at their whole situation.
Yeah.
There's so many options.
Or you could do a video and post it on Facebook with a consultation,
Oh, yeah. That would be good. Mm-hmm. Good idea. I'm writing that one down, Chantal.
First idea is free.
Oh, yeah. If some people don't mind being on camera. Some people do.
Yeah, or you could even have you could muffle out some of the details, if they don't want certain details of their, or hide their identity.
Yeah. Then it's just gonna look like a witness protection.
Yeah. But I mean, you still get the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, c'est pas long. You know what? I'm going to try to put this on.
There's about a 10-minute delay on the Mercier Bridge, and that applies to both directions because you are down to one lane either side until tomorrow morning. Again, that's on the Mercier. Inbound Champlain is going to slow you down 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. I worry about those people that have their house paid off and want to get into investing, and they go ahead and they buy those condos, and then because we get a lot of the calls after saying,
help us.
Yeah. I think condos are great if you're actually going to live in it and be. I don't believe in condos as much for investment purposes.
Really?
Yeah. Because I've yet to see somebody make money off of a condo as an. I know some people own quite a few of them.
I thought you just meant you don't see people making money off of like condos off plan.
In general, I know of like few people that own a lot, so volume-wise,
right.
They own a lot of condos, and so they're able to. Because if you have one, and then it's empty, and your tenant leaves, and then it's not really an investment. One.
So what's a better investment?
I would say if you have the budget, go into a triplex, fourplex, a small fourplex with four little 3.5s.
Yeah.
Right. Spend the 800,000-900,000 or whatever it is, or 700,000.
Even if you're not living there.
That's right. But at least you have 4 rents. Yeah. You know. Go big or go small.
Go big or go home.
Yeah. Or go home. Yeah. Oh gosh.
How's traffic getting here? Where do you live again?
We took Notre Dame from Lachine. It was a nice little breeze.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I came
We're
from...
very lucky. From Lachine,
yeah.
We can take St. Patrick downtown. We could take Notre Dame. I can go through NBG, Saint Jacques, and cut through that way. I mean, it's
the city.
It's not the. It's a bit longer. It's like 30 to 40 minutes instead of
I came from the States, and I was a bit worried that coming in, you know, but they detoured me down the what's that one? The 132 on the South Shore. Is that what it is? To the Jacques Cartier, and it was great. Like no traffic at all.
That's awesome. Maybe people are just avoiding.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just weren't leaving this weekend, you know, because of the crazy.
Probably. Yeah.
I love that the city, when they were saying all the road closures, one of their pieces of advice were if you can work from home, work from home. But a lot of people can't work from home. That's not good advice.
I could work from home if it's just certain things, but if I have to go show a property,
you can't. You got to go out.
And then
very few people that can just stay home and do the job from there, you know?
I'd like to take public transportation.
Yeah, but realistically...
I actually Googled to get here, public transportation. It was like an hour and a half.
Oh, what a pain, really?
Minutes. And I was like, I would have already had to leave, so...
An hour and a half, or to drive, it was, 12 minutes?
Well, it was 30 minutes because of the... Yeah, usually it's 15 minutes. From Lachine to here...
Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow to say... I'll take an hour and a half.
It's because we don't have a metro line. So if the mayor is listening, we don't have a metro line in Lachine and West Island. So we need to be working on that metro system.
Yeah,
on the west.
I am surprised. Yeah. I'm so surprised, especially going to the States a lot, that they don't have a metro that goes from the airport to downtown.
Well, that's going to be the new REM, right? The new.
And when is that going to be done?
I think in like 10 years or 5-10 years, they're saying.
What?
Yeah.
Why is it just? Why is
I know they've been talking about that for many years, and I mean now there's people who are opposed to it because it's going to be in the West Island, it's going to make some noise, but I think we need it.
We need it.
Yeah.
I would for sure jump on the metro every time I get off a plane, you know, instead of jumping in an Uber or a cab.
Yeah. Well, we have to take. We're 6 when we travel, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to travel we need like a van.
Yeah.
Regular. Yeah. So, so we have any more calls coming in?
No, so we'll go, redefine if you want what exactly is a seller's market, and then go to 3. Or you want to jump ahead to...
we could redefine it just quickly.
Yeah. Or do you even want to redefine? Do you want to define it again? What is exactly the seller's market?
No, I think we did it. Yeah, we can go,
Okay.
Because we want to get into, I just look at the time.
Yep.
Oh, we're already in the second half?
Yeah.
So we want to really get into number 4.
So just skip 3 and go straight to 4?
I think we wanted, but did somebody ask did we get a text about areas? We want to answer the text first?
That was just Liz asking where she should buy.
Oh, okay. It wasn't another text. Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so we'll get right into 4.
Yeah, I mean, we could just touch on some areas that are in high demand and that will cost you more. And
Okay.
but actually, we can get into that after.
Okay,
Did
so
we say
start
we
with
were
4?
getting into that? That's what I'm thinking. No, okay.
What
So
are you
we'll start
thinking?
with 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Show here on CJAD. That's Eleni Akrivos, president of Northeast Realties and chartered real estate broker. I'm Chantal Desjardins. Call us with your questions. 514-790-0800. Text us 514-800. We're talking about buying real estate in a hot market, meaning that it's a seller's market, and it's getting harder for first-time buyers to find a reasonably priced home in Montreal. Prices going up, buying power going down. Eleni, what do they do? What do people do? How do they deal with this?
It's a lot of work, actually. It's a lot of work. So you know what? I'm going to go back to something that's really basic and that we've said many times on the show here. I'm sure you've heard me say it. I'm sure you've heard Terry say it. Where it all starts is getting a solid pre-qualification done. Mm-hmm. Everything stems from there, okay? Because in this market, it's just everything is just more difficult. So there's less homes to visit. You have to be more available to do visits with your broker. You need to be working with a good broker who has their, ear on the ground. They know what's happening in the specific neighborhood that you're working in, because even from one neighborhood to the next, it changes. So I'll give you an example. I had a broker who came and brought an offer with his buyers on a property that we had listed in Lachine. And originally he was working with his buyers in Beaconsfield, and they had a budget.
I do love Beaconsfield.
We love Beaconsfield, but you know what? With their budget of around $450, they were priced out in Beaconsfield because they're a young couple and they want to renovate, because most young couples want to renovate and have it, all done. So with the renos, they were out of budget. And Beaconsfield, they're older homes. They typically need renovating. They're bigger. They take more maintenance, more upkeep, and the taxes are higher. We're going to get into taxes after, but if anybody, tuned into the municipal tax budget that was released for 2019, the taxes haven't gone up as much as the last budget in 2018, but it does affect a buyer's expense, right? What are you going to be paying every month? Your mortgage, your heating, your taxes. So getting back to the pre-qualification, this is the first most important step that a buyer has to absolutely take, because that's going to give you your real maximum budget, taking into account taxes, condo fees, depending on a property that you're going to buy. So get the pre-qualification done, and get a full pre-qualification done. When you meet with the mortgage broker, the lender, give them all of your information. Your what are you paying right now? Everything, so that they give you a real picture of what you can afford, and you can get a letter, right? You can get a letter from the mortgage broker telling you this is your budget, this is what you can afford. And why is that going to help you? Many reasons. Right? If you're making an offer in this hot market, you're going to typically be in a multiple offer situation you're going to be going against other buyers.
Stressful.
It is stressful. It's stressful. So the more prepared you are, right? And you know that this is going to happen, you have your letter. So with your offer, you're going to be able to show, look, I can put my, money where my mouth is. I can afford this house. Mm-hmm. And you'd be surprised, some buyers, again, they're priced out and they're making offers on homes that are either right on their budget, they're at the limit. And so if a seller's faced with, who should I choose? This buyer that's at the limit and they may not pass at the end because you still have to get, the final approval. Or, these people have a little wiggle room on their paper. So
you're going to go with the wiggle room.
Maybe, yeah.
And you have to be a little more flexible, I would assume, then, too, as a buyer, because if, the seller does have a few options, you might have to sacrifice a few things to be able to get it.
Definitely. You said the right word, sacrifice.
Okay, so what's the next step? So you got the pre-qualification, and what else do they need to work on? They need to know.
Well, you know what? The pre-qualification is going to help you with the multiple offers. It's going to help you also dictate, the area. Okay, so a lot of buyers, they are set on an area. And I know that's the emotional part of real estate that we don't always talk about. They're stuck on an area, for example, because, their parents live there, or they're stuck on an area because their jobs are really close and they don't want to commute, so there's different reasons. So when we work with buyers, we work a lot on, of course, the financial side. So we want to make sure the financial side is taken care of. And then we're going to look at the emotional side and say, okay, you want to buy in
Beaconsfield,
but
but
you want to buy in TMR. So here are the prices in TMR. Here's the tax situation. So just again, touching on taxes a little bit, just changing from one area to another can make a huge difference in your expenses, namely taxes. So for example, Beaconsfield, Montreal West, they're known to have higher taxes, right? I mean, you're paying to be in that community. Of course, if you want to be in that community, you're going to pay for it. Now, as a first homeowner, do you absolutely have to move into that area? Is there another area that can also be close to a train or can work for your family situation? So that's what you need to look at. You need to look at, do I absolutely need to be in this high demand area? So that's where your needs analysis comes in. You sit down with your broker and you look at, okay, what do I really need in a house? Namely location, because in essence, what you're buying when you're buying a property first and foremost is you're buying the location. Location. That's why they say that.
Right.
You are buying the street, you're buying the location, you're buying the community, you're buying the neighborhood, right? So are you stuck on the neighborhood? This is the big question. Do you have to be here? Can you maybe move to, another neighborhood?
And do you find you often have to play therapist as well as real estate agent?
Of course. Yes. I'm not a licensed therapist. But real estate, I tell everybody, is 50% emotional, 50% financial, and that's both for sellers and for buyers all the time.
Okay, so once we get the pre-qualification, you also have to evaluate your maximum budget. You got to look at all the expenses, right?
I mean, the reason I say maximum is because sometimes people say, okay, I'm approved till 490 or 500, but I don't want to go past 450. Okay, that's fine. I hear you, because you have your monthly family budget, but then you're telling me you want to get into, this neighborhood. You want to get into, I don't know, Montreal West, or you want to get into, let's say DDO. So DDO is another very, very hot area, high demand. Okay. And there's going to be multiple offers. So even if the house is asking 450, it might go for 460, right? So you're telling me, so I need to know what the maximum budget is, because if you're going to miss a house or lose out on a house for $10,000, I mean, on a mortgage, amortized over 25 years, it's not that much.
So at that point,
if you're
you
qualified,
would say to go a little bit above your budget.
Exactly. I mean, above your personal, I would.
Right.
I mean, obviously, the bank is not going to qualify you, or you're not going to get the mortgage if you go. I'm not telling people to go above their qualified rate.
But just you're in your head.
Yeah, because some people, they do cap themselves on a personal level, and then they're pricing themselves out of the market, right? And I see that a lot. And then once you lose one house or two houses, you're like, okay, I need to come up with $5,000-$10,000. I've also seen people borrow $5,000-$10,000, because again, so that's what we're looking at. We're doing the needs analysis and saying, okay, how much do you need to get into this neighborhood? Are you missing $5,000-$10,000?
And really, $5,000 or $10,000 over 25 years.
On a mortgage, it's not bad. If you really don't have that room, can you borrow it from your parents? Can you borrow it from somewhere else? I mean, again, if to get into the market, because if you don't get in now, I mean, you are going to pay a little bit more next year, right? That's just the reality.
That's the voice of Eleni Akrivos, president of Northeast Realties and chartered real estate broker. You can call us at 514-790-0800. You can text us at 514-800. We will talk about, you just mentioned TMR, you mentioned DDO, you mentioned Beaconsfield. I want to know, are baby boomers hanging on to their large homes at this point, and what we can do about that. But first, let's take a look at the roads, see what's going on out there. Kira Yeager, here we go. So just like a quick touch on the baby boomers, and then now we've pretty well done 5. Anything specific you want to go to next?
I think what I'd like to get into now, because we touched on the taxes, so that's fine. So 6 is kind of done.
Yeah.
I really want to just get into the scenario now, because we don't have much time left. Like what goes down, because we talked about multiple offers, but we didn't talk about like what to actually expect. Sure. What do you mean multiple offers? Okay, you're just going up against other people. Yeah. Okay. But how does it happen, right? And then what could you do? So some buyers are in this market and they're like, yeah, I don't have time this weekend to go visit a house. Okay,
you have to make time.
There's going to be an offer by like tomorrow. Yeah. So it's like you have to be available. Yeah, I just want to kind of go through what happens in a multiple offer situation. Like, how does it go down?
It's stressful. It's stressful just to think about
and some people, honestly, they just don't want to deal with it, and some people do. And if you have a good broker who kind of helps you through it, you'll be fine. But if you don't know what to expect, and your broker's telling you, well, you have to offer over asking. Like, what do you mean I have to offer over asking?
Do you usually find you have to offer over asking to
Absolutely.
be able to? Yeah.
In certain areas, yeah. No choice. Even St. Anne de Bellevue, I just listed something at 202. St. Anne de Bellevue. But that price range, there's a lot of people who can afford that.
At how much?
202,000 for it's an older house. But there's a lot of people who could afford that price. So there's a lot of demand.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for the area, but for that price range.
Right. So
So
people
we
go
got
out of where
a
they want
lot
to
of
live to be able
people,
to, yeah.
and then we, 3 offers. One person got priced out because they, that's all they could afford, and then the other 2 people went head to head, and it went over asking.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it plays out.
Let's call Terry Galacos.
We're
This show has flown by. How is it 1:47 already?
yeah. So did we take enough time for the calls? Like, am I supposed to take more time? Because
No,
I could have.
that's fine. You did a couple minutes each. They can call you with more.
Yeah, because I could have talked to Liz forever.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to give full consultation on.
Yeah,
on the
hopefully
show.
they call you, and
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of people have the same kind of
Do
questions.
we have their numbers? Can we text them back, like our phone number?
I don't.
No.
We don't have their numbers.
Okay. But I mean,
Someone
we gave out the phone number.
Yeah. Someone just texted, owner of property attached on both sides, flat roof, property on my left has a higher wall, has an infiltration problem.
Oh gosh.
Property on left is a condo. As I'm individual landlord, the roofer wants to place a membrane from their outdoor wall to my roof. Am I forced to accept this? Your advice is appreciated. Alex.
It's not forced, but it sounds like a good idea. You don't want their water coming in on your property. I mean, and if it's not costing them anything, why not?
Do you want to touch on that before we get to
Sure.
these?
I mean,
or
we don't want to not answer their texts if they're sending a text, right?
okay.
We don't want to be rude.
We don't want to be rude.
No, we want to answer the people. Yeah, I always feel, is it with, yeah. I always feel like I'm talking too fast, so I'm like, but I'm okay.
I think you're great.
Because it's just flowing.
It's information. You
Yeah.
gotta get all the info out.
Exactly, I gotta get all the info out.
People can listen to fast. I'm on Audible for the books, and I always put it at like 1.25 speed because I like it a little faster than normal. You
And
know?
you can get through it faster and get more books done. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Audible. Yeah, I gotta get back on it. I had a trial.
Gotta go. We gotta do a thing. 10 minutes.
The Real Estate Show here on CJAD. I'm Chantal Desjardins. That is Eleni Akrivos, president of Northeast Realties and chartered real estate broker. Terry Galacos will be back next week. Now, we have a couple things to touch on. First of all, we just got a text from Alex. I'm the owner of a property attached on both sides with a flat roof. Property on my left has a higher wall and infiltration problems. Property on the left is a condo. I'm an individual landlord. Their roofer wants to place a membrane from their outdoor wall to my roof. Am I forced to accept this? Your advice is appreciated, Alex. That's a very polite text, Alex.
Yeah.
Eleni?
It's a very good question, and those kind of things come up all the time. So, Alex, you are not forced to. However, I mean, if the estimate and the job has been done by a reputable company, and indeed it is an issue. I mean, you could on your end get somebody in to also look at it. If they're offering to do the membrane, pay for it. Of course, you want to make sure it's well done. You can get a second opinion. But my advice is, if you're not paying for it and there is an issue, especially with water infiltration, I would say get that fixed.
There's no reason to say no, right?
Yeah, I would definitely. I would be happy that they're doing something.
Now, what if they want money for it?
Well, that's a different story. Then you have to look at what is the estimate, what would be your part. And if it's completely caused on their part, I would say you shouldn't really have to pay something, right? But again, you can get a second opinion. right? Get somebody in to give you an opinion as well.
We are here to give you our opinion. 514-790-0800. Text us 514-800 in the last 10 minutes. Now, we touched on this before the break. Areas like DDO, Beaconsfield, TMR. Are baby boomers hanging on to their big homes?
I think so. I mean, I'm not seeing stats about that where, everybody talks about why are we in this short supply? And there's a few reasons, namely, again, the mortgage rates went up, harder to qualify to move on to the larger home. But I am seeing it on the ground, and other real estate brokers I talk to are seeing, baby boomers staying in their homes. It's just something I'm seeing on the ground, and they're not putting up that house for sale. And so that's, I think, contributing to the low inventory.
And we touched on multiple offers, which stresses me out, even just to hear it.
I know.
So let's talk through a little bit more about multiple offer situations. How does that exactly play out for a buyer?
Yeah, it's just that if you haven't been in that situation before, like you said, it's stressful and you don't know what to expect. So if you are working with a good broker who's, actively working in multiple offers, they should at least, prepare you, and so that you have an idea of what's going on. So what happens in a multiple offer situation is typically you visit a house on a Saturday, and then you leave the house with your broker, and the broker asks you, what do you think about the house? And you're like, yeah, we like it. It has everything that we want, but we're going to think about it. Okay.
Oh, the classic, we're going to think
about it. And I mean, typically, you'll take 24, 48 hours. I mean, honestly, you usually will know. This is the reality. You walk into a house, I can see it on buyers' body language. It takes 3 to 5 seconds. They walk into the house. If one of the couples like it, if they don't,
Isn't that what they say about if you love whether
same
you can,
thing.
When that moment of connection?
It's the same thing with a house. Funny. I kid you not. I stand there at the open house. I watch the couples come in. I'm like, yeah, they're going to make an offer. You can tell.
Oh, cute.
But, nevertheless, people want to think about it, and that's fine. So think about it. In the meantime, what happens is, other people visit on a Saturday. Again, depending on the property. Let's suppose this is a property that's priced pretty well for the neighborhood. There's going to be other visits. There's going to be visits on Sunday. Typically by Saturday night or Sunday morning, let's say I'm the broker, I would receive a message from the other broker saying, I'm getting an offer coming in on Sunday.
And they've fallen in love with the house too.
Exactly. And then typically I might get a second message saying, I might be getting a second offer. So then what do I have to do as a good broker? I have to call my clients and advise them and say, okay, we visited the house Saturday morning. It's now Saturday night or it's Sunday morning. And the listing broker is advising me that there may be another offer coming in. Usually as soon as they have the offer signed, they'll advise us. So now you're kind of pressed to make that decision, which, again, if you're prepared, you should be prepared to make these decisions quicker.
Right.
In this market, you need to be prepared not only to be visiting homes quickly, you need to be available if something comes up on the market. You cannot wait till you have to drop what you're doing and go visit the house and get in to see it. But
at this point, is your good deal out the window then? If there's 2 other offers and you're going to have to go over asking?
Your good deal right now on in areas that are in high demand, yes, is out the window. Okay, that's the reality. So when I have the client saying, yeah, but I don't want to offer over asking, I want to negotiate. Okay, but you know what?
You're not going to
get it. In this situation, in this type of market, in this area, for this single home detached, you can't negotiate. And so a lot of buyers have a difficulty with that. And it's not because we want to make the sale. It's because we're trying to help you to get the house. So again, going back to the strategy, if you don't want to be in this high pressure, multiple offer situation, then you know what? Let's look at your budget again. Let's look at if you're open to other areas. Because again, if you're stuck to DDO or Beaconsfield or whatever, certain areas, especially West Island, certain areas of Laval as well, Point Claire, you're going to find yourself in this situation. So it's better that you're prepared and that you're ready to say, you know what? Yes, I do want the house. Yes, I like this house. It's in a perfect street, perfect neighborhood. It's where I want my kids to go to school. Yes, I'm going to offer asking, or I'm going to offer $5,000 over asking because I want to become a homeowner. That's what it's going to take, basically. So during that situation where you're hearing that other people are making offers, number one, trust your broker. If the brokers, we all work with ethics, right? And we're not allowed to lie. So if your broker's telling you there's an offer coming in, it's because the listing broker has sent a written message that, he's liable if he's lying for that. Okay. There's another offer.
Does that ever happen? That can't happen.
No. It's just people question it. And it's like, okay, but there's one house for sale in this area and there's about, 5 buyers for the one house. So That's what's happening.
Is there any way to avoid it? Can you go in if you fall in love with the house? Can you be like, okay, here's my offer. Let's just close it right here. Let's not let anybody else.
You can. I mean, you have to get your offer in, get it early. And so number one, don't waste time. Get in early. Okay. Number two, if you like it, again, don't waste.
Lock it down.
Make your offer. Okay. And you can make your offer, again, with your pre-approval, make it, very strategically appealing, right? Don't ask for too many things in your offer, right? Like if the seller wants to move out in 90 days, try to accommodate. That's it. And number three, I was going to say number three, which is basically, what was my number three?
Probably to call Eleni Akrivos at her number. Let's do a quick recap of buying real estate in a hot market.
Yeah.
Just for the people, for 30 seconds left. What are you going to tell them?
Well, like I just said, I mean, if you're going to be looking at certain areas that are hot, you have to be willing to deal with multiple offer situations, and you may not get that deal of a lifetime, but you'll get in before the prices go up next year, right? So be prepared with your pre-qualification. And if you're really open to moving to different areas, look at different areas that are not so high in demand.
Eleni Akrivos, president of Northeast Realties and chartered real estate broker. You can call her at the office at 514-716-6188, or you can send her a message on Facebook. She is always on Facebook. Thanks, Eleni. That was great.
Thank you, Chantal.
Okay. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
The opinions expressed in the preceding program were